Today's episode is not my typical episode or topic that I tend to discuss. I was pondering on what I wanted my next episode to be about. I just can't get myself to talk about anything else except for what happened last week on this day, on Wednesday. I know you guys are already sick of hearing this, but this past week has been a very heavy week for the collective. Something that happened in the US has now made an impact globally in all countries. It's just been a very heavy week, and there's something very important going on in our society, in our world right now. And I just can't picture myself talking about anything else except this. At least getting this out and getting out everything I want to say, not only to help myself heal from this tragedy, but to also make you guys not feel alone. Not only that, but I want to talk about the next steps that I'm taking as a follower of Jesus, or just as a person that literally wants humanity in our society to be a more positive and happy and safer place. So this is for anyone that wants that sense of hope in a time of fear and pretty much, fear, a time of fear. So I journaled this morning on my experience, on where I was, how I was feeling when I first heard about everything that happened, and then just kind of my realizations that I've had that will also help you guys relate, not feel alone if you're also feeling the same thing, and just advice on what I am doing moving forward because of what happened. And you guys can take whatever you want from what I say. So here we go. Last week on this day, Charlie Kirk was publicly assassinated. I was straightening my hair, getting ready to make TikTok shop videos, when my boyfriend came in the room and told me that Charlie was shot in the neck. So when I first heard that, I was very confused and in shock. I basically felt the same way that I felt when I found out that Trump got shot, where I was kind of confused. Like when you hear news that's such a shock, you're just very shocked. In that moment, I didn't really know what to think because I don't know how bad it was. I don't know what event he was at. I just didn't have enough information for my mind to really process what happened. So I completely stopped what I was doing. I stopped straightening my hair and I was just sitting on the ground just because all of my TikTok shop stuff was laid out there. So I kind of just sat down and I started scrolling on social media to find out what's going on. I just couldn't focus on making videos. Like, how am I gonna be happy making a TikTok shop video and having good energy when I just found out that someone that I've seen on my For You page and all over the place just got shot in front of a ton of people. So as I was scrolling, I saw the video of him getting shot in the neck without my consent. So the fact that it just happened, it was kind of all over social media and it wasn't really hidden. So you kind of had to watch it without the choice if you want to watch it or not. My friend sent me the close-up of the video. My eyes started watering and I just felt so deeply. The next few days, every time I went to bed, I saw the replay of the video over and over in my head. And it was just very traumatic and hard for me to fall asleep because I constantly had the replay in my head. And I also found myself wanting to replay the video. And I saw other people in TikTok comments say that they have like OCD, and like even people that don't have OCD, their mind was wanting them to replay it. There was like a therapist on TikTok saying that don't let yourself rewatch it because it's making it like worse for you and stuff. So I think our brain just naturally wants to comprehend what's like happening. I don't really know the science or psychology behind like why our brain wants to repeat something. Maybe because we don't fully believe it and we're not really processing it. But I know I'm not the only one that saw it over and over again because I saw almost all the TikTok comments of everyone else that's traumatized by it. And I can't even imagine the people that were actually there and had to see it with their own eyes. That's even more traumatic. Yeah, like I was saying, there was no warnings on the video. It was going everywhere, so the whole world had to see a real person being killed. I didn't have a good feeling that he would survive, to be honest. I was on the ground on my phone and I paused my content creation process and saw the announcement that he was dead. So I was in denial. That was my first response. It didn't feel real. I've never really experienced grief in my life, so I don't really know how it feels to grieve and experience something that traumatic. I know I didn't know him personally, and a lot of people were saying like, oh, why don't you care about this that happened and that happened? And of course I care about everything. But the fact that we know this public figure, and especially people that maybe were a fan of him or watched his content or just constantly came up, it affects you more deeply when you know someone, especially when it was someone that, we'll get into like what I'm about to say. I want to continue what I was saying here though. So I was in denial. It didn't feel real. I felt sad and also scared to even leave the house. especially going to church, because at all times in the world, this is the time where Christians are being targeted, especially with the school shooting that happened at a Catholic school. And I think it was a transgender that went to the school and did that. I didn't pay too much attention when that came in the news because consuming too much stuff like that is just going to make me sad, especially when there's nothing that I can really do about it. But Christians are a target right now, so I felt super scared to even go to church in person. I remember leaving my house for the first time. It was the next day, so it was on 9/11. When I pulled up to the gym, I felt so uncomfortable in the parking lot. Every single second, I was looking around and seeing if there's any person that looks like a threat to me. And I felt the same way when I pulled up to Publix after the gym. And I honestly give myself grace for feeling that because it is scary, the fact that anything can happen unexpectedly to any person at any moment. But then I realized the enemy, the evil of this world, wants us to be fearful. It wants us to silence our voices, especially our bold faith in Jesus. Although being a Christian puts you at a higher risk, I believe that this is the time more than ever to be bold in your voice, bold in your values, and bold in your faith in Jesus. My voice is going to be louder than ever before, and nothing is going to hold me back. The enemy thought that he was silencing us, but in reality, our voices are going to be louder than ever before. This tragedy and incident has caused so many people to go to Christ, and we have a revival going on in our generation. This is the first time where so many people are going to Christ. They're going to church for the first time in their life. And I want to share something that I saw on TikTok. So people said that he got shot at 12:23. So John chapter 12:23 says, Jesus replied, "Now the time has come for the Son of Man to enter his glory." So he's basically saying that the time has come for his suffering, death, and resurrection, which will ultimately lead to his glory and the salvation of many. So I think the death of Charlie Kirk was an awakening moment for our society to go to Jesus. It's just a super powerful thing. It's something I've never seen before in my life. And in this generation, I think it's so cool that we get to experience this revival that's happening of good versus evil. But let me get back to what I wrote. So I questioned God on why he would let the whole world witness someone being brutally murdered online without consent. So I really sat with that because I think it's very traumatic that the whole world had to see that video. I've never seen a video in my life of someone being unalived. I still can't believe that I saw something like that. I just found it so cruel, not only that we had to see the video, but the fact that he was unalived in front of people publicly like that and on live streams is literally insane to me. So I couldn't get it out of my mind. I kept picturing my boyfriend being in that position, and it made me sick to my stomach to really put myself in Charlie's shoes and the family's shoes and just feel how they would feel. I was literally too afraid to let my boyfriend go on his New York City trip this weekend because I wanted him to come back in one piece. I kept telling him, like, please come back in one piece. I want to make sure you're safe. Like, be careful if you go on the train. And I was just very worried about him. But anyway, I realized that God made us witness that to reveal the true evil in the world and to awaken more people than ever before to go to Jesus. Like I said before, it's so insane to be in a generation and see that every church was full last Sunday. And just seeing people in the comment sections saying it's the first time in their life where they opened a Bible or the first time in 20 years. And people that never even believed in God are just randomly starting to believe in him and just have that inner knowing that there's something else out there. Now, Charlie may have not always had the best delivery, in my opinion, when it came to some of his debates. As in, like, he could have been more empathetic and careful with how he worded things, because sometimes when he worded things, like, I know it was coming from a place of genuinely trying to switch people's perspectives, and he had good intentions for what he was trying to do, but he didn't always come across as, like, empathetic, in my opinion. He was a man of God and a man seeking truth in a world of lies and corruption. Now, I know a lot of people said that he isn't really the best representation of Christ, and I do agree with that. He wasn't at times, but that doesn't take away that he was a man of God. He was a brother in Christ, and his intentions for what he was doing for our society was pure. He has impacted many lives for the better, such as opening people's minds to Jesus, or even just showcasing to the world how important it is to have an open, respectful discussion with people that don't believe the same things as we do. Charlie was bold in everything he did and everything he stood by. And I would honestly respect anyone that was the way that Charlie was. Like, basically, no matter what your political side is, when someone is bold about their beliefs, whether I believe their beliefs or not, or their values, I will always respect that. In my personal opinion, he truly lived out his God-given purpose at such a young age. And I know that Jesus was so proud of him when he crossed over. And not only did this tragedy inspire me to stay bold about my faith and values, but this is motivation and fuel for everyone to go after everything you've ever wanted and more in your life. Charlie didn't know that it was going to be his last day. We don't know when our last day is, nor do we know when it's our partner's last day, a family member, a friend. So this is the perfect fuel, guys, for all of us to stop living in fear and doubt and just go after what you know you're meant to go after. You know deep down what some of your strengths are and what you know you need to do. You're just scared to take that leap of faith, and you keep putting it off for so many years, and you're going to end up regretting that when you're on your deathbed because you spent your whole life in fear and doubt and silencing your voice. If you don't act now on your purpose, you're going to regret it. Charlie died as a man that stayed true to his values and his morals, and every single day he stayed true to his purpose, and I strive to do the same thing. I just want to be kind and giving to all of those around me. I want to impact as many lives as I can while I'm here. So I just want you guys to really take time and reflect on what your strengths are, what your purpose is, what makes you feel happy. The biggest thing of all is the impact that you want to leave behind on this earth. What do you want people to remember you as? What do you want them to remember about what you did and how you helped other people? What do you want to leave behind? And start acting right now, guys. There's no time to wait. Live every single day like it's your last day. Don't be in fear. Don't be in doubt. There's literally no time to waste anymore, guys. You literally saw from last week. You don't know when your last day is. For those of you guys that are a follower of Jesus, don't you want him to be proud of you when you cross over and have that moment where you're face to face with him? But that's everything I wrote. I feel like there's probably more things that I wanted to bring up, but I feel like that covers everything that I wanted to get off of my chest. I know this wasn't a typical episode topic. I mean, it kind of is because I do talk about Jesus and faith and everything, but I know this can feel political for some people, but my purpose was to just share how this impacted me and to talk more about the faith side of it and not politics. But yeah, I'm truly invested in this case. Every single day, all day, I'm watching the live streams, the TikTok videos. I'm just very intrigued with what's going on in the world, especially the fact that we are having a revival where people are turning to God. And literally my little brother, I was with him this weekend and he wanted to buy a cross necklace. I asked him what inspired him to buy the necklace. He told me that one of his friends that he goes to school with made a TikTok video talking about his faith and being open. It literally had 17 reposts from all of his friends. So it's crazy how one person speaking up and talking about their faith and being bold can impact so many people and save so many people's lives. So I just found that cool that my brother is intrigued, and he's so young. He's 17 years old. In my eyes, he's still like 12, 13 years old, like a baby. But yeah, I hope this episode made you guys have some hope in the world, because I honestly was dwelling in my fear. I was too afraid to leave the house. I was starting to get scared of speaking about faith or going to church because I don't want to get shot when I go to church. And I just don't want to let the evil think that they can silence my voice. And every single person, even if you don't post on social media, every person can make an impact in the world by speaking up and talking about what's important. But yeah, guys, I think that's everything for the episode. I announced on my Instagram story that I'm going to do the podcast every other week, so on a bi-weekly basis. And it's going to be on Thursdays at 3 p.m. EST, but every other week. Doing it every week has kind of been a lot for me because I am a one-man show. I do everything myself. I don't have an assistant. I don't have an editor. I don't have anyone to help me film anything. Like any content I film, even outside of the podcast, everything's by myself on a tripod, lighting. Like I do everything myself. So I want to make sure every episode that I do is very intentional and has a purpose. I don't like to come on here and half-ass and waste your guys' time. That's why a lot of times when I come on here, I get a little nervous because I'm getting nervous because of the pressure, because I want to make sure that I'm presenting myself correctly, I'm saying things right. I never want to lead you guys in a wrong direction, and I want to come here with intention. I've always been like that for all of my posts on Instagram and TikTok. Everything I post has a strong meaning behind it and an intention for what I want you guys to learn or whatever the case is. So I feel like bi-weekly is just going to make things more manageable for me. And then once I get to a point where I can do weekly, I'm definitely going to go back to that. I also plan on getting a second mic. So my mom is either getting me a second microphone for my birthday or Christmas. I don't know which one. I hope it's my birthday because that is coming up in a few weeks. That would be awesome to have a guest. I definitely want one of my brothers to come on the podcast. But yeah, guys, I think that's everything I want to talk about today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you feel inclined to do so, make sure you guys subscribe. Comment below how you're feeling about the situation and whatever you want to comment so we can start a discussion below. But I will see you guys not next week, but the week after. Bye!